Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name's Maddie and this is going to be a very hard to film video because this is going to be my June hauled books video. Normally they're going to be very quick, but also just kind of describing the different books that I bought throughout the month. However, this month, because I bought so many for reasons I'll get to in a little bit, I bought so many books that I'm not going to be able to tell you the descriptions of the books, and you'll thank me because this video would take way too long if I was to go through the descriptions of all the books. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm not going to do a joke for this video because I just really want to just get into it as soon as possible. The first thing that I want to do is talk about something that I was actually really excited about, something that my fiance and I were really excited about. So our public library does a book sale twice a year, and I hadn't actually ever gone to it before, even though I've lived in my city for a very long time. And so we went there, and the room was actually filled with books, and I wasn't expecting it. They even said that they had even more in the back, and that they were going to fill it in as books were bought. So they were obviously very cheap, and they were in relatively decent condition. Some of them were a little less nice than others, like very used, but for the most part they were actually in a lot better condition than I was expecting. We had a lot of books that we found that we actually really liked, and we went there I think 3 times in total. So the first time we went, we bought quite a few books, and then the second and third time we ended up getting quite a few more, to the point where this haul video is actually going to be very long. We also had gone to New York City, which if you go back to my New York City vlog, you'll see the books that I bought there. I will briefly mention them again in this video, but if you want a bit more descriptions of what the books are, you can go ahead and go back to that video, and at the end of the video there's descriptions of every book and where we got them in New York City. These first batch of books are from the first day that we went to the library sale, and the first book that we bought was actually the last book in the Wheel of Time series. It's A Memory of Light by Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson, and it's the hardcover version, which I was so happy to find because these are actually really hard to find. They don't sell them anymore, so I was able to get the actual original hardcover, and it's in really good condition. As you can see, there's no water stains or anything, no chips in it, and like it has the original map in the hardcover. It's a really good edition, and I was so surprised to find this. So we got the very last book, which I didn't have in hardcover of that. We also found the first 2 books in the Leviathan series, I believe it's called. So Leviathan Wakes and Caliban's War by James S.A. Corey. So we bought these 2 books. They were really cheap when we went there, and obviously these go for like $15-20 usually. So the fact that I was able to get these first 2 books, I was really excited about, and it's a series that I've heard a lot about and that it's really good. Like a really good sci-fi series. So I'm really happy they were able to get the first 2 books for that series. The next book from the library sale was Harper Lee's Go Set a Watchman, book that I've been really excited to get, and it has, I think they're called beveled edges, these like really rough edges. So I'm really happy they were able to get a hardcover of this book. The next book that we bought was George R.R. Martin's A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, illustrated by Gary Gianni. And again, something that I've been really excited to get. It's part of the Game of Thrones series, so I really wanted to get it for a long time. It's a kind of expensive hardcover that we bought for I think $5. The next book that we bought was a Grimm's Complete Fairy Tale collection. I don't know, I think this is actually from the Barnes & Noble collection, but they had it there for $5. And again, I was just really excited to have this because I love the old fairy tales, and I've never actually read a lot of these, so it went into our classics collection. The final book that we bought on that day was The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. It's a book that I had heard, I think it's a series that I had heard about and was really interested in, so thought I'd pick it up since it was so cheap. So these next 3 books that I was able to get in the month of June were actually from June's Book of the Month. So in June, there was actually a lot. You can pick 1 book, but then you can add on 2 books to your subscription. And usually I don't end up doing that just because there usually aren't too many books that I was actually interested in. But the month of June had pretty much every single book. They usually give you 5 options to choose from. Every single book I actually really liked. So I had a really hard time choosing only 3, but the 3 that I bought I'm really happy with. So one of the books that I bought, and it was the one was actually my book of the month that I was really excited to get, was Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I'm going to be reading The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo first before I read this, but it is within that same universe, and it was just one that I had heard so many good things about, so I really was happy that it was offered as a Book of the Month book. Then the second book that I had gotten from Book of the Month was The Maidens by Alex Michaelis. This is a book that is has quickly moved over to my really excited shelf, the shelf of books that I really want to get to as soon as possible. So I'm hopefully going to be able to read this the next month or two, but this was another one that I heard a lot about and that I was really excited to have from Book of the Month. And then the third book that I got from Book of the Month was Sky Falling by Mia Mackenzie. It was one that I hadn't heard about before, but when I read the description of it, I was really interested. So another one that I thought was really interesting. So a few other books that I bought at Barnes & Noble between the first book sale day and the second book sale day we went to was Gwendy's Magic Feather by Richard Chismar. You've heard me talk about this in 2 other videos, but it is the sequel to Gwendy's Button Box, which was co-written with Richard Chismar and Stephen King. So I was really happy to find a hardcover version of this, it was pretty much brand new. And then at Barnes & Noble, I also got With Teeth by Kristen Arnett. It is a new LGBTQ book that I got because there is a book club at one of my local bookstores, and they had this for our June-July books, so I was really excited to find this as well. Going back to the second day that we went back for the library book sale, we bought a few other books that I'll get to in just a second, but the notable thing that I wanted to talk about first was the fact that we actually found a bunch of manga. Now, normally I'm excited about getting manga, and the fact that it was a lot cheaper. I think it was $1.50 per manga there. They actually had a really big selection that they were selling. I'll tell you in just a second why I was so excited about it. So first of all, we had ended up buying 3 volumes of One Punch Man. It's a manga series that I have been wanting to collect for a long time. I really loved the anime that I had watched the first season. So being able to get the next 3 volumes that I didn't have. I have volumes 1 and 2 already. So getting the next 3 volumes made me really happy because they were really cheap, in really good condition, and it just continued my collection. But the one set of manga that I am so happy that we were able to get for as cheap as we got them was One Piece. Now, as you know, One Piece is very, very long. It's been going on for decades at this point, and it will continue to go on for quite a long time. And because there's so much of it, I've been really intimidated by buying them. Although I really love the story, I've actually read not a lot of One Piece, but I've read enough that I knew I was really interested in the series. I was reading them online, but I really love just owning them because the art of manga is just so beautiful, especially in One Piece. And I obviously like to have the physical copies to kind of contribute to the author and, you know, the sales for that. I had a hard time wanting to get the One Piece manga because there was just so much of it. It would have been very, very expensive, like more than hundreds of dollars worth for the entire set. However, at the library book sale, we noticed that there was basically an entire box of One Piece manga, and they had volumes from 25 to 66. So these are just 2 of them, but it's just to prove to you that I bought volumes 25 through 66 there. And I think we spent maybe $70, $80 on all of them when it would have been, I think, close to $300 if we had normally bought them. So we were really lucky to have found all of those volumes in really good condition. There was only 1 volume out of it, I think it was 55, that we don't have. And it was funny that there was only 1 missing out of that entire set. But yeah, we picked them up immediately. We were so happy that they had them there. And now we have a shelf and a half full of One Piece manga. So I have a few more books from the library sale that I wanted to go over, and I'm going to quickly go over a couple that my fiance had picked out. So he really likes middle grade books, and I was actually happy that he found a few of these myself. One of the series that he really wants to collect all of at some point is the Spiderwick Chronicles, and he was able to find book 5 in the original hardcover, and we're really happy that we were able to get this. We hope that we'll eventually be able to collect all of them, and this is the first one that we actually have physically, so we're really happy to find this there. We also found a few of the Lemony Snicket's Series of Unfortunate Events books. We have book 1 and 8. So we were able to find 2 of these in hardcover. I know they sell them at Barnes & Noble, but the fact that we were able to find them at the library book sale for a couple dollars was really nice to be able to get these 2. And again, this is a series that we really want to collect physical copies of, and these are the first 2 that we've been able to collect. And then we also found a trilogy of this middle grade series that is pretty well known that actually just got a TV adaptation, I believe. I'm not sure exactly where. It is The Mysterious Benedict Society Collection by Trenton Lee Stewart. So we have all 3 in a very nice box set that we were able to get at the library sale. So we're really happy to find these. Then continuing on with the books that we found on the second day of the book sale, I found Little Shop of Found Things by Paula Braxton. It was a book that I've heard about, that I was really excited about, in really good condition. We also found The Martian by Andy Weir, so a book that I've been really wanting to get. Found it at the book sale. We also found The Queen of the Tierling by Erica Johnson. Again, really wanted to get this. Now, this next book I didn't necessarily need, but I was really happy they were able to find a copy of. It is Stephen King's 4 Past Midnight in hardcover. I really wanted to get this. It's not in the best condition. Like, it's actually really good, but there is a little bit of water staining happening. I really wanted to get this because this is one of my favorite books by Stephen King. It was actually one of the first books I've ever read. I had borrowed the hardcover version from a friend back when I was younger, and I had a paperback version of this book, so I had the book in my collection, but we saw this hardcover version of it, and it was one that I really didn't want to not have. I love this book so much, and it's just really nice to be able to have the hardcover because that's what I had read when I first read it. And if I ever want to read it again, I would want to read this version. So really happy that we were able to find this at the sale. We also found at the library sale Infected and Contagious by Scott Sigler. I believe this is a series. I don't know if it's a duology or if it's an actual series, but it looks really interesting, so we picked it up. And actually the third book, so it was a trilogy. The third book we also got, which was Pandemic by Scott Sigler. And we also found the second book from Erica Johansson, The Fate of the Tierling. 2 more middle grade books that my fiance had picked out, and I was actually really happy that he found these as well, is Inkspell and Inkheart by Cornella Funk. We really want to find, I think there's 1 or 2 more in this series, so we really want to find them at some point, but it was really cool that we found the hardcovers of these. So it's funny that I'm sorry that they're slightly out of order. They were in the order that I had found them in. So again, by Erica Johansson, it is The Invasion of the Tierling. So I believe that this was the trilogy. I have all 3 books. And then the last book that we found in the second day that we went to the library book sale was The Passage by Justin Cronin. It's the hardcover version, and it's actually really pretty. I really love this cover. So moving on from the second day of the library book sale, now we're going into the New York City trip that we went on. And again, if you want to have more details on each of these books, then please go to my vlog. It's vlog number 2, which is the New York City vlog, and I go over in detail each of these books and the descriptions of them. So the first book that I had bought was Flight or Fright by Stephen King and Bev Vinson. It's a bunch of short story collections from those 2 authors. I also got The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne, which is his new book in a new series that he is writing currently. And we also got The Space Between Stars by Anne Corlett. Again, hardcover version. I believe I got this at the Strand. I also got You by Caroline Kepnes, which I was really happy to find this because I had watched the Netflix show the first 2 seasons, and I didn't know that it actually was a book first, so when we found this, I was really excited to find it. We also got Severance by Ling Mei and Talk Bookish to Me by Kate Bromley. It was at the same bookstore. 2 more books from the Strand. We got Mr. Penninbro's 24-Hour Bookstory by Robin Sloan and Oryx and Crake by Margaret Atwood. Again, 2 more books that I was really happy to have found. This one I had heard a lot about, and I actually got one of the cheaper versions of it because they have a lot of used books at that bookstore, so I found that one. And then the Oryx and Crake, it was one that was recommended to me by my friend George, and when I saw it in the hardcover version that I don't think they sell anymore, I was really excited. Then I believe at the Center for Fiction, I bought 2 books there. I got First Become Ashes by K.M. Sparra, which I'm actually reading in my July TBR, and A Master of Gin by P. Jelly Clark, which again, it was one that I had heard from a lot of booktubers that it's a really, really great book, and I was really excited to have found this in physical copy. Going back to the Strand, because I had gone to the Strand for I think 3 days in a row when we went to New York City, I found 2 copies of something that I was really excited to have found hardcovers of. It continues on with the Wheel of Time series. Remember how I said that I got the last book in hardcover? Well, I got the second to last and third to last books as well. So I had bought the Gathering Storm and Knife of Dreams in the original hardcovers. And again, they are in really good condition. There's a little bit of water staining on Knife of Dreams, but I'm really happy to have bought the original hardcovers of both of these books. Ooh, it is hot in here. Okay, continuing on with the New York City books that I bought, I have another V.E. Schwab book, The Near Witch. I didn't know that she had wrote this book, so I was really excited to have seen it. I also got The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which I had mentioned previously in this video, and this is also on my July TBR for this month. Then at a bookstore that my fiance was actually really excited to go to, we bought Jay's Gay Agenda by Jason June in hardcover, and I was really excited to get this. I've heard a lot of really good things from it. And then we also got two novels from Jennifer Duggan. We got Hot Dog Girl and Verona Comics. which I was really excited. I really wanted to get this book, but then when we saw this one, I didn't know that she had written another book, so I was really excited to get this as well. And then from the same shop, we also got The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang, which is a graphic novel. Going through some graphic novels that we got from this one graphic novel store that was next to the Strand, we bought the Pride Omnibus. I got the first volume of The Wicked and the Divine, The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys, which has been recommended to me several times by a lot of my friends. And we also bought the first 3 volumes of Skyward, which again, it's a graphic novel series that I've heard so many good things about and I'm really looking forward to reading. And going back to the 3rd day of the library book sale, yes, we went for a 3rd time. It was towards the end of the sale, so they had them even cheaper, and we really wanted to make sure that we didn't miss out on anything too good. So for the 3rd day, we bought Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng, which is a book that I've had on my list of books I've been really wanting to get for a long time, so I was really happy to have found this one. I also got the Atopia Chronicles and the Dystopia Chronicles by Matthew Mather, and it's a series, I think it's a duology. I hadn't heard of this, but it looks really good, and again, it was really cheap, so I really wanted to pick it up in case it was really good. We also got Dark Metropolis by Jacqueline Delmore. Again, it was a book that looked really interesting. The synopsis looked interesting and really wanted to pick it up. Now, I wanted to briefly mention this last purchase that we bought. It was towards the end of our last visit to library book sale. We had been looking around and we found out that there was they had like sets of older books that were, I think, 70% off. So they were really reduced and they were kind of expensive at first, but since it was the end, they really wanted to make sure they got it out. And we noticed this, I think we had noticed this the first or second time we had gone to the library, but we didn't know really much about it. We didn't really look at it too closely. When we looked at it a little closer this last time, we were like, hey, why don't we get it? And then we realized that this is actually, I don't know how rare it is per se, but it's very well sought after, and we're actually really happy that we bought these. It is a set of Victor Hugo works that are like the original hardcover volumes. We bought 7 of them. I think it's a set of 15 or so, but it is the original hardcover with the original gold foiling, and the like paper is actually really, really old. Like you could tell it's like handcrafted. There's even some pages that are still attached to each other, so you know that no one has read from these books. The illustrations are stamped because they have really thin paper in between the pages. And these books were made 150 years ago. This is actually number 137, this book specifically, and I think the other ones are around those same numbers. So only 1,000 of these were printed, and we were so lucky to have found these. We really wish that we could find, and maybe this will be something that we're going to really look for in the future, is to be able to find the entire collection, because they are worth a lot of money and they're very collectible. Like we are so honored to have been able to found these and to be able to collect them ourselves. So this is something that is in a very special place in the library, and we're really thankful to have been able to find these and buy them. Getting closer to the end of the video, I know that we've gone through quite a few books at this point, but at this point there's no more library books and there's no more New York City books, but we do have a few more that we bought from Barnes & Noble. I got some bonuses from Works that I was able to get a few more books, and we also went on a little trip that I'll tell you in just a second. But first, something that my fiance has been really wanting to get for months, and he got some money from a bonus that he's been really looking forward to getting. And so the first thing that he thought to buy when he had this money was the Caravel trilogy in hardcover, and it was a really nice box set. It has really beautiful illustrations for all 3 of the books, and he's been really wanting to read this trilogy. I've heard a lot about it too, so I was really excited about it, but this is one of the first things that he thought to get, so he's really happy to have bought this. And the first book, Caravel, is actually on his TBR because he's doing a TBR for the first time this month, so look forward to maybe hearing about him reading that. So the other thing I was talking about that we did is actually go to the little libraries around our area. I had never gone to little libraries before. I didn't even know that we had them in our neighborhood, but we I actually found out there are 3, maybe 4, I don't know where the 4th one is per se, but there are 3 that we visited that are within minutes away from the house. And so we really wanted to go there. We had a few books I had unhauled recently, and we wanted to see if there was anything good. So one of the books that we found was Madeline Lang's A Wrinkle in Time. Something that we've all heard about the movie that they adapted this from, and I was really excited to have found this. It's a really cute middle grade that, it's actually book 1 from this series. And yeah, I'm really excited to be able to have this, and I know my fiance will really love it too. I also found Brian Keene Ghost Walk, which I've never heard this author, never heard this book, but when I read the synopsis, it looks like a really good horror that I wanted to pick up as soon as possible. I also got John Green's Paper Towns. Again, it's one that I never really wanted to actually buy myself, but because it was in the box and it just looked interesting, and I've heard some good things about it, I wanted to pick it up as well. And finally, the book that I was so excited to have found, even in the little libraries and in really good condition, is Patrick Rothfuss's The Name of the Wind. It's a series that I've heard so many good things about. I'm really excited that I have the first book, and you know, the next time I get to it, I'm really excited to be able to get started on this really great series. So these next 3 books we bought at Target pretty soon after going to the little libraries. Again, these are books that we actually were planning on getting for a while, and we just happened to be able to find them in pretty cheap actually, and so we wanted to get them as soon as possible. One of them my fiance picked out that he was really excited to read is Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boulley. I loved the hardcover illustration of it, and so we really wanted to make sure that we got it before it went off of being hardcover. And then something that and this is a precursor to some other books that I bought as well a little bit later in the month, I have been really wanting to get into Cassandra Clare. I know some people are kind of back and forth between whether or not she's good or not, and I know it's a little young, but I'm really excited to actually get involved in the whole Shadowhunter series. And again, this is kind of going back a little bit, but I bought the first 2 books in the new The Last Hours series. So I got book 1, which is Chain of Gold, and book 2, Chain of Iron, in hardcover. I really wanted to get these while they were still in hardcover. Chain of Iron was really cheap at Target, and then I ended up getting Chain of Gold when I was at Barnes & Noble because I really wanted to make sure that I had, again, the hardcover versions of these 2 books. Then I bought a series of books on Amazon, and this was towards the end of the month at this point. They were books that I had had on my cart for a long time. I had a little bit of extra money from cash back through my credit card, so I was like, you know what, I want to get these last few books, and then I'm going on a book ban for a long time because of how many books I've gone through in this video. So one of the books I bought is We Go On Forever by Sarah Govett. It's the book for the Burned Books Club pick for July and August, so I really wanted to make sure that I got this as soon as possible. And I didn't realize that, one, it came from the UK because it's UK price. It's very small. Like, I don't know if you realize, like, this is a normal paperback, and this is the UK version of the paperback, so it's a little smaller. And they also say that it's not as floppy, so it's kind of cute that it's a little smaller, but really excited that I got this book. I also bought The Bride Test by Helen Huang, which is the second book from the Kiss Quotient series. I don't know if it's really a series per se, if they use the same characters, but it's her second book, so I was really excited to get this. And then I briefly wanted to go over the biggest purchase that I bought, which was the whole entire original series of Cassandra Clare's Shadowhunters series. I bought a box set that I was really excited to get because, again, it was a box set, so it was the whole series. It was really cheap, and so I actually was able to get the entire first series of Shadowhunters, which is the first one that I actually really want to read, of course. So I bought City of Bones, City of Ashes, City of Glass, City of Fallen Angels, City of Lost Souls, and City of Heavenly Fire. And I also got, for the Amazon list, I forgot to mention, I also got The Sword of Kaigen by M.L. Wang. It's a standalone high fantasy novel that I had heard so many good things about. I'm really anticipating reading this, so I really wanted to get this as well. And it, again, wasn't too expensive, and I was already getting a few books on Amazon, so I was like, you know what, might as well throw this in as well. Okay, so I actually lied. There were a few more books that we got at the library sale that I had forgotten about. So there's these last few books are just a few more that we had bought on that last day. So I also got a burnable book by Bruce Hollinger, and it's actually an ARC, so I'm really excited that I found something that you normally would never find in a bookstore. So again, one that I thought was really interesting and an ARC, so I wanted to pick it up. We also found Hunter's Run, which is a novel written by George R.R. Martin, Gardner Dozier's and Danielle Abraham. I hadn't heard about this book before, but George R. R. Martin wrote it, so I was like, oh, might as well pick it up. It was $1, so I was like, hey, why not? Then I got The Cycle of Fire by Janny Wirtz. It's a trilogy, The Storm Warden, Keeper of the Keys, and Shadowfane. So I thought that this was really interesting and, I mean, really cheap. Had the whole collection in it, so wanted to pick this up as well. Then I got a hardcover of 13 short horror novels. It has Stephen King in it. It has H.P. Lovecraft. So a few names that I had recognized, and I love horror stories, especially short stories, so I wanted to pick this up as well. It looked really cool. And the final book that I bought, one that I thought was really, really cool, and I'm really happy that I was able to get it before they had sold it already, is R.A. Salvatore's The Ancient. It is a signed first edition, and it is part of a series, I believe, but I'm really happy that we were able to find this as well. That was all of the books that I bought in the month of June. Obviously, between the New York City vacation, where I knew I was going to buy a few books, and the book sale at the library, which I had known was coming and kind of figured that we would go to multiple times because it was cheaper than I would have ever been able to buy those books. So obviously I wanted to take the opportunity as much as possible. So between all of those, plus the few stray moments of going to Barnes & Noble or buying on Amazon, I kind of came out to have quite a few books. I don't know exactly the number of books that I bought in this month, but I'll have the number here of just how many it was. And this does include all of the manga, obviously. But I think it goes without saying that I am going to go through a book ban for a few months. So I'm going to have a few books probably every month, but it's going to be nowhere near this month or even last month. Because last month, as if you remember from the last video, I had bought over 20 books that month, and I thought that was ridiculous. Didn't know that this would happen. So I think I'm going to slow down on buying books for a while. I think there's plenty of books that I can read, and last month I had a really good reading month. Hopefully this month I will too. So hopefully, even though I bought all of these books, they will go quickly. So thank you so much for watching this video. I'm sorry that I didn't go through descriptions of all of them, but again, it would have been a much longer video if I did. So if you're interested in any of them, or if you want to ask me about any of them in particular, please leave a comment down below asking about what book you would like to learn about. Obviously, if you are interested and you want to just look it up yourself, just know that I thought that they were really interesting, so maybe you will too. If you haven't already, please like the video, please subscribe to my channel, and hopefully I won't have another hauled books video for a while because I really need to take a break. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.